Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock Hearthstone time, or 10:04 outside time, so it's time to get started. I'd like to call the Resident Assembly meeting to order on September the 12th, 2024, and we'll open our meeting with invocation by Pastor Leslie.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we come together to having been refreshed by the summer of beautiful weather and family gatherings, joyful times, and indeed some times of sorrow. In all of our days and through all of our activities, you promise to be with us to the end of the age. Now, as we gather to do the work of the Resident Council, surround us with your presence, bless us with your grace, and sustain us with your mercy. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
I wanted to kind of remind you that President Elaine and Member-at-Large Marnie are currently on holiday in South America, so we're going to struggle along without them. I appreciate your patience. We'd like to start with a few introductions. We have two members of the Board of Directors with us today, Lee Kors, who is the chairman of the Board of Directors, and Harry Edmond, who's the vice chair. So thank you for coming today. We really appreciate you being here and adding your voices and thoughts to what we're doing. The first item is to approve minutes submitted by Meg Logleb.
Well, I was reminded when I looked at the minutes from the July meeting, which seems a long time ago now, that I didn't have the recording when I first wrote the minutes, and so I issued some minutes to which a number of really minor corrections, a fairly large number of minor corrections were made once I got the recording and once people commented on it. But I don't have any record of the changes that were made. I just have what got finalized. Well, I could create a record, but who cares? Anyway, anyway, I would like to ask for approval of the official final draft of the minutes of the July meeting, which all of the council members have seen, and which probably were made available to floors and buildings. Anyway, I would like to ask for approval. Thank you. All in favor? Thanks for the approval.
The Keeper of the Treasury.
Since my last report to you, we have paid $83.13 to the library, and I encourage you to go to the open house at the library on Monday the 17th from 3 to 4 and see where our money is going. So please drop in to the library. We also have a donation from the Hobby Room, and this donation is an accumulation of dollars for the gift cards that are available there. And I've been told that there's going to be a huge number of Christmas cards available for you to choose and make a slight donation. The box for donations is next to the cards. So thank you very much for that $15 donation. And our current balance is $1,851.02.
Thank you. This is usually the point in the agenda where Marnie Perry, as Member-at-Large, talks about the Employee Appreciation Fund, and we've traditionally expressed our gratitude to the hourly staff at the end of the year with a bonus that recognizes the essential work that makes our lives better each year. We're also aware that we have dedicated employees who spent many years here with Hearthstone, and we're joined by Frank Graff, who's our past president, who will share with us some information about an event that was held earlier this week, the Hearthstone Employee recognition event and reception. And I think you'll all be amazed.
Well, I just learned that Hallie, when she does her presentation, is going to do a report on what took place on Monday. And I will just preface it by saying it was really spectacular. There were basically two events. One was a gathering for an hour here where awards were handed out to long-term employees and particularly those who've been here for a really long time, spectacular gifts, recognition. And one of the messages I heard that really kind of surprised me, I hope I've got this right, and if I don't, assume it's okay, what is it? Yeah, about 50 of the Hearthstone employees have been here for 5 years or more. I mean, that's really pretty significant when you think of this size of an organization and the potential for turnover. Several of them have been here for the years in the 20s, and one, well, I'll let Hallie tell you about her, because it's pretty spectacular. That was followed by a really great gathering down in the lower level. I don't know how many of you had a chance to go down and see that, but it was highly decorated, and then there was lots of food and lots of tchotchkes. Okay, some people know that. Swag, thank you. Cups, all that sorts of thing and whatnot. And then a drawing and giving away all sorts of different things. And was it 3 televisions? Wow, okay. So the important thing, I think, was the theme. A committee was put together. The theme was called Heart. And that came from the group that got together to put it together, the Hearthstone Employee Appreciation Recognition Team. And I will tell you, heart was clear in this room and downstairs. So congratulations to the Heart team and to all of the employees for a spectacular event. Round of applause for them. Now, it's important to note as I fill in for Marnie that this doesn't have anything to do with the Employee Appreciation Fund, which is the one where we gather money during the year and toward the end of the year so that we can give thank you checks to hourly employees. So I urge you, if you've not signed up for that, they're yellow, or no, I can't remember what the color is this year. Is it yellow? Sheets down in the I call it business center, down in the lower level. And you can do that on a monthly basis or a one time. The deadline's coming up. We got to have that done by the end of November. So just keep that in mind. And then, thanks to the Treasury's report, I was reminded of something. Our account has fallen below $2,000. Gasp. That means that, yes, indeed, in October, there will indeed be another See's candy sale. Okay? You used to say, save up your pennies. Well, the price of chocolate. So I'm going to say, save up your dollars. But we will have the table again up in the dining room. We'll do one down in the Coves. And that money goes directly to the Residents' Council Fund. So there you go. Some financial and community activity that's been pretty great.
Can I just say one more thing? Is it on?
Yeah.
And I'd like to remind you that we made such a nice donation to Medic One from our treasury, and hopefully we can do that again in the spring. It was muchly appreciated. There's a letter on display down in the dining area, and there's one in the both Cove building bulletin boards. So remember, that money goes to very good use.
Thanks. Thank you. So as far as the sea candy sale, don't miss it if you can. Whoops. Okay, good. We're going to move on to Hearthstone Management Report. And coming up first is Dawn May, our CFO, who's going to review the audit and 990 status updates and changes to the resident statements.
Well, many of you may have seen me around throughout the building in recent months, and I thought I would just do a little bit of an introduction to start off with. My name is Don May, and I am a CPA. I've been a CPA for 38 years. I've also specialized in this type of industry, the CCRC nonprofit continuing care communities. That's been most all of my career. I also have a wife of 38 years and two redheaded boys that have all grown up now and moved on. But anyway, I came here in April, and this is a very special place. It's really quite astonishing what I've seen. I do love to also walk the lake. I walk it just about every day, and that is, I could tell you, it beats the heck out of walking in Phoenix, which is where our home is. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you all for coming today. And as someone new to the community, I also, like Frank, was astonished at the longevity that I saw in that heart event the day before yesterday. There's a lot of people. I was at one community for a whopping 27 years, and I thought I would have some of them beat, but there's a lot here that have beat me, and that's amazing. So the Hearthstone is a great place to work, and again, it is a very special place to be, both for the residents as well as the employees. Anyway, so back to the basic task here. Upon my arrival in late May, I was able to reconcile and book all of the necessary year-end journal entries for the year ending December 31st, 23, and then send off an auditable trial balance for the audit firm to proceed with the scheduling of the audit during the first week of July. That was sent out. All the audit requests for the information have been provided to the auditors in a timely manner during July and August, and they are preparing a draft report to present to us any week now. Hopefully it's any day now. But I'm not expecting the final draft to look much different than the trial balance I sent to them for audit. We are not expecting anywhere near the losses from last year, as the market values on the millions invested have appreciated and are now unrealized gains instead of unrealized losses that were showing up in 22. So, however, the organization has experienced inflation in food, wages, and energy worse than any time in the last 40 years. These increased expenses will take time to be absorbed by the Hearthstone. That was some pretty dramatic inflation. I remember when I was just a kid and first compiling financials and auditing, being audited back in the late 70s and early 80s. It was very much like that. So regardless, the accounting department is very engaged, providing monthly financial reports to the CEO, including CapEx spending, census tracking, new entrance fee contracts, and meal counts. My success could not have occurred without having solid players in the accounting department, including Matthew, Jillian, and particularly Peter. They're solid players, and that's a real attribute that you have here with those three players. So some of you may have seen the new resident statements just came out. Yeah, I'm going to put my glasses on for this. And I think Hallie just said that she was going to put up on the screen something, but I didn't really want to dig too much into that. It seems like it went pretty flawless. other than there were some, it was a complete changeover. As a side note, there's been a total change in the accounting software, also in addition to the statements that you're seeing. Again, the accounting team has been working double time to facilitate these needed changes. Anyway, we appreciate residents' feedback on these new statements. The feedback on these statements, like somebody suggested we put the phone number on there to reach Jillian, and that was on the old statements. And then also, I think to date, to put the date of which the ACH, Automated Clearinghouse, draw on the bank account is projected to occur. So that is forthcoming if it hasn't already been done. I think August 1st billing was the first on the new bills. But Jillian in accounting welcomes your questions and suggestions on how to improve these statements. Overall, this was a huge undertaking, again, by Peter, Jillian, and we are very happy that this conversion to the new software was accomplished so efficiently and without as much of disruption to the residents. What you're also not seeing is that it isn't just the billing side of this software conversion, it's the entire financial reporting system. So that was a major undertaking, and so additionally, I wanted to mention the 990 informational tax returns. Those are in progress, that is in progress and far along, as well as the pension audit, the employee pension plan, the 403B plan, and as well as the Form 5500 filing that follows it. These are both due by year end, and the underlying data necessary to file them is already complete. We will be in complete compliance with all government authorities before the end of the year. And then lastly, I think you have a little competition here, and you'll know what I mean. Lastly, I wanted to mention that Peter has successfully completed the application for a new affiliated 501c3 corporation known as the Hearthstone Foundation. Now, that is after how many years has this community to have a foundation? Many of the communities I've been at, they have foundations. They're really an integral part of the community. But anyway, the residents are able to make, and the employees as well, to make tax-deductible charitable contributions. And so that just before everyone's year-end tax planning, I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that. And with that, I'm open for any questions, or that pretty much concludes my presentation today. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah, I just got to get your microphone here.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the losses and those were not. Yeah, the question is, was just questions about if there's going to be any further information on the 990 informational tax returns that have been previously posted. About the only thing I can say is that if I go back and look at the 990s, up until last year, we hadn't really seen anything even remotely material as far as any losses. I think they were down around 100 or 200,000 on a $22 million operating budget. But last year, some of that was related to unrealized losses on our investment portfolio. But and I'll leave it up to Reggie as to if there's any type of further information that those 990s are available. So they're public information. So anyway. Any other questions? Oh, we got one in the back. The traveling mic. I can walk back there. Yeah.
We are a nonprofit, and I understood that meant a certain portion of the average income of the residents made an effect on whether we were a nonprofit or not. Can you comment on what what average we need to have to qualify?
Certainly.
Yeah, I really appreciate Don being here, and there's going to be lots of interest in this topic. I think there's a better forum to discuss this. You know, we have individual questions which are important to us, and as we go forward, we're going to find some opportunity to have your questions answered directly. But I don't think this is the time or place to be taking that. We have lots of business to do. So I appreciate your thoughts. I think they're really important. We need to feel comfortable about what's going on. And with the kind of leadership we have, I think we're going to be in good shape. But so we'll move on. Yeah, thank you. We now have our update from Tim Alton, Facilities Maintenance. Lucky guy.
Hello. What do you think I'm going to talk about? What was I talking about in January of last year? Elevators and irrigation. Okay, so we're going to talk about it some more. But it is getting better. Okay, I'll start with grounds because there's a lot of different elements happening and need to be addressed or fixed or we need funding for kind of things. So one, and this is the biggest priority for me, is we're hiring a groundskeeper. And that's not as easy as it sounds, and I'm going to tell you why. Oh, thank you. Good. Everybody's going to love that, but it's not that easy because we need somebody that is not only an arborist, horticulturist, knows irrigation, pesticides, herbicides, and it can be a resident-facing staff member. Finding that miracle person we know is going to be very difficult. But we're up for the task. We have time with the end result of getting real good service based on how things should be done out there. The individual will be client-facing, meaning resident meetings like this, the garden committee, things like that. That individual will be hearing your concerns firsthand, but hopefully they'll be able to be a little more preemptive, okay? The less problems that come our way, the better job we're doing, I always feel, kind of thing. So that's always the goal. So you still see Bayview out there. They're still working on a couple of the real critical things that I have to have them finish up on, and one of them is irrigation around Lakeside. And that is the best progress I've seen to date, in that today I can get water on all of Woodlawn, meaning even up in the meadows, okay? I can get water up there now, and I can get water all the way down First Avenue. So in the ivy up here, and then down through the front of the building and into the one planter box right at the main entrance. So we have water there. We have sprinklers. They are operational. The last big but is now I have three more valves to replace, 3 more control valves, we call them, that need to be replaced. So all of the front end's been done. We've replaced the meter. We've replaced the backflows. We've replaced the pressure reducer. We've replaced a couple of the control valves. So we have some of it operational, about half. And now we're looking at the front of the building because there's irrigation there. And then up Sunnyside, we have irrigation there also. And we found the 3 control valves we need to address, but guess where they're at? Anybody? Exactly. Did you know that? Okay, it's under, and they're under concrete. Okay, and here's where one, I wasn't here in 1965 when this irrigation was put together, so we had to go back to the original blues. I've talked about that over and over, the original drawings and stuff like that, because one, we have to see how did it look originally, because that's where those valves are. We have 3 control valves out here on the sidewalk that are underneath the sidewalk, and we're going to need to do a little bit of saw cutting because they can't get to one of them at all. It's right in the middle, so we're going to have to be cutting out a section approximately, we'll say 2 feet by 2 feet, maybe 3 feet by 3 feet, and then we'll be able to replace those control valves. They're not hard to replace. It's just getting to the darn things, discovering things. So, example, when we repaired the control valve that operated this side of the building on First Avenue and stuff like that, obviously there we found branch lines that were broke, and we found main lines that were broke, things like that. So every time we fix something, we have to fix another something. But I guarantee by the end of this year, we're going to have irrigation turned on in May of next year. Let's say April. How about we're testing it in February? After the last freeze, basically, okay? So this is the furthest progress we've made with it. Remember, we started with a trickle of water, then I had a spout of water, and now we have actually heads popping up. So, and the other place we got water to is this entry down the stairs where the trees are. You see one of them dying out there. We got water to that area down there, which was a huge win because we didn't think we were going to be able to get water back there again. So that was a big one. So now we can water some of those thirsty bushes and trees and things like that and look at the overall look of the community kind of thing. So we also continue to have issues over at the Coves. I'm totally aware of that. Some days they do it exactly like they're supposed to and not touch things and not take the hedge trimmers to everything and make it look unnatural. And then other days they do it pretty darn well. So we had a couple incidents this last go round where somebody went out there with hedge trimmers again and scalped some of the bushes. So we're addressing that. Know that. Dining patio, you may have seen some improvement up there, some movement on that, and that is not done yet. Know that. We've removed all of the old, dead, nasty planter boxes and plantings up there, refilled the planter boxes with good new soil, and next step is for, I believe, some design options. And for new plantings to put in those planter boxes. Then we need to look at drip system up there, something that actually works. We've already pressure washed the whole space up there, but we also need to paint up there. So there's a lot of little things that create bigger issues. And we have an opportunity to make that a little oasis, okay? And that's going to be our goal, to make that a nice little oasis, okay? The other thing that keeps coming up, and so I'll just throw it out and address it, there's 2 issues around the building that we're having to get quotes for because we do believe it's going to be expensive. And they both fit together, but can be separate. One is this curbing at the rail up here that's been shattered forever. We're getting a bid to have that permanently fixed, we're hoping. But that may mean something bigger than just putting a patch on it. Because if you look at that close enough, there's been patches put on that before, and it's blown out. So a freeze gets in there and it blows out again. So the goal will be to permanently fix it so that we're not addressing it in the future again. And along with that, because the same contractor can do this, is I can't afford to replace sidewalks around this whole community. It would be hundreds of thousands of dollars but we're looking at having the unsafe areas ground down so it's safer, and we can systematically, as money is available, start replacing some sidewalks and go from there. Okay. That's it for the outside. No, I got two more things. That's good news, bad news. Good news. If you didn't know, I meet with Hallie every single week. And over the past couple weeks, one of the things we've talked about, and I think I really like it, Hallie suggested that we do a speaker series. And we are going to start that process in October of doing our own speaker series. And the first thing we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, is Sarah devices. Okay. Who has a pendant? Anybody in this room? Okay. So we're going to talk about their operation, how they work, how they should work, and we're going to actually do some demonstrations. So we're going to walk through the process of how they're used and how they can be used, and really encourage everybody to use them and have them available. Okay, so we're going to talk about our Sarah devices first from a resident's perspective. And then in November, we're looking at talking about fire safety. Okay, so we're going to try and get ahead of a couple of the questions that keep coming out. So instead of you asking about fire safety, we're going to talk to you about fire safety. And we're going to walk through scenarios. We're going to talk about roles and responsibilities, not only of me, but of the residents. Okay, so you're going to see a speaker series every month. We may not do one in December because things get a little crazy in December, but we'll see. And we'll take suggestions. Hallie definitely will through her meetings with the different resident groups. We're also still committed to doing the Great American Shakeout, so expect that in October. Okay, I'm not sure what level of commitment we're going to do yet, but we will do something. It may be a speaker series like I did last year. My hope is that we could have the resident guests come in this time, because last time they couldn't. And it's good to hear from a resident perspective about earthquake preparedness, as opposed to me just speaking about it, kind of thing. So that's my hope for that. And then the last piece, because I said I'd talk about elevators. So if you haven't noticed, number 3 is down, and number 3 continues to be down, meaning we fix it, and it seems like the timeline is getting shorter and shorter for when it breaks again or something else goes wrong again. So we're totally aware of that. We have elected, after this last go-round, when we repaired it, and 2 hours later we were communicating that it was broke again, that we were going to keep it down until we can get a better repair done for the immediate piece, okay? So we're expecting that hopefully today, maybe tomorrow. I don't want to go into the weekend with it online unless it's working, okay? We don't need somebody getting trapped over the weekend, worst case scenario for me. So worst case scenario, it would be down until next week, early next week. With that, we have the full proposal for the modernization of all 3 elevators. We have the proposal, but that comes with a price tag, okay? And I'm not going to say the price, but just know that we need some funding to make this happen. Once we get this funding and we start this project, we're looking at potentially a 2-year project, okay? Potentially, and that's worst case scenario. I'll take questions. I'll take one. I can't answer that. I'm not in a position to. I just know, is the funding coming from residents? I don't know that answer, so I can't respond to that answer. That could come from another forum, but just know behind the scenes individuals are working on that aspect of it. I just know I cannot write a check for the amount, okay? I just know I can't do that. My wife would kill me, okay? So know that we have the proposal, we have the plan, we are prepared to execute the plan. We just got to work out the funding piece of this and have it in a form that we can control and be sustainable with, okay? We just can't cut a check for 3 elevators today, Okay, we got to figure out a plan to make it happen and be realistic with it. Okay, that's all I got, and thank you. More to come.
We're going to talk about some recent community happenings. I'd like just to say briefly that as members of the Resident Council executive team, which includes Frank, Elaine, and I, we have the opportunity to meet weekly with Reggie and Hallie to communicate your wishes and concerns as residents here at the Hearthstone, typically through the the floor representatives. We've observed that there are approved lines of communication and organization. What we don't always see are the efforts of the management team. While on the surface things may be fairly smooth, there's a lot of pedaling under the water to keep us moving forward. And what I'd like to do today is to have Hallie summarize some of the things that have happened recently that we are proud of and are hoping to improve upon.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry for a little bit of the snafus here. So wow, we didn't have assembly last month, so there's been a whole lot going on. So I'll say first, bear with me. This is my list. I'm gonna go as fast as I can for you. So we're just gonna go through a couple things that have come since we met in July. One being, we got a new menu and dining services. So for any residents that aren't a part of the resident dining committee, we meet every month. We hear what the feedback is. I put a picture up of the Happy or Not kiosk because it's so important that you're giving us that feedback. So far, we've had nothing but outstanding feedback on that menu. So if you feel otherwise, please let us know. But the dining committee is very helpful, and I think we have the perfect players. John, Patty, executive chef, Eric, all come to those meetings and they take what you say very seriously. So we are very happy about that. The next, so we got a lot of questions about this. So our benches out in the front, they've been refinished and put back. And I know that that was a big deal. So just the little things. One of the residents said to me a couple weeks ago, it's the little things that we need to know about. Those are the important things, you know, and sometimes we work so quickly that we forget to stop and tell you about the little wins that we have. So the benches are looking good now. We got railings in the first floor bathrooms. Big win on that one. So now the grab bars are in all three of the bathrooms down here. Before it was just in the one. One thing that we also heard coming up from resident council as a request from residents was a series on end of life. So Pastor Leslie and Stacy collaborated on that, and we did that series. We have that recorded. We're going to put it on Touchtown. I believe it's actually already on Touchtown. Let's see here. Tim talked a little bit about this already. We know this took a long time, folks. We know that. So it was a matter of just finding the bandwidth, really putting the right players there. In fact, it happened to be that one of our employees' sons was in town and doing little work around the community. And I said, hey, you want to start emptying some planters? And he's like, sure, why not? Teenage boys. So we started, and then the momentum just kind of continued from there. So we're happy to report that. We're very grateful for the resident committee that's going to step up and have some input on what gets replanted in there. And if you have feedback, let us know. The 10th floor party room got a new TV. So that's all set up and ready to go. The IL Resident Handbook Committee completed last week. They wrapped. Thank you so much to the residents that were on that committee. So now we are in the process of implementing those suggested changes. The council also vetted it. And once that's done, we'll send it off to our team of attorneys, and you'll see that hopefully very soon, inclusive of all three buildings. org chart came out. So there is hard copies on every floor, every common area. Anybody that wants a paper copy got one. If you haven't, let the front desk know. I'll personally print one for you if you need it. And then there's a binder in the library with laminated pages on it. So we will continue to replenish that as we get new org charts. They'll go in the same spots. The new Hearthstone directory came out, also by first name and by unit number. All of this is in Touchdown. Hard copies were also placed in all the common areas. If you need. All right, how about something a little more fun? The Hearthstone Olympics. I think Grace is the only one from resident engagement in here right now, and I'm not going to put them on. Maybe I will. Go ahead and stand up, Grace. Let's give it up for resident engagement. Talk about fun. So this is just a couple of the moments that we captured from that day. The Employee Appreciation Day, we've talked about that. This was really neat because it ended up getting Reggie, Stacy, Michael, myself, Karen, a lot of other directors and managers up and out of bed serving our employees at 5:45 in the morning. So that is unheard of around here. But what an honor it was to see people like Diana, who's been here 45 years. Mrs. Diana up here. So please, if you see Diana in the hallways, thank her. We wish we had a committee picture of Heart. We don't, unfortunately. We're going to find one. But it was a lot of the HR team. So let's give a round of applause to all the employees that really did that. All right, the fun is over. Lakeside Wi-Fi access points. So I think I've talked about this the last 3 assemblies now, probably. We think that we are in our final stages. We have dealt with every resident who has let us know that individually their unit's not getting connectivity. We think we found a solution. I'm hesitant to say too much. If you've ever worked in EMS, you know that Murphy's Law is real, so I'm nervous about that. But I think we're almost there. So once we get there, we're going to release a threshold for all residents, and then you can start doing speed tests, or you can ask us to come up, and we'll make sure that you're at that right threshold at a minimum. If you want a higher threshold, you're always, we've said it, you're always welcome to get your own Wi-Fi, but what we want to do first is guarantee you that we'll get you operating Wi-Fi at that threshold at a minimum, hopefully much higher. So that's our commitment. We appreciate you hanging in there with us. We're doing everything we can for a building built in 1962 with walls that are sometimes just impossible to get through. So thank you guys for your patience. We really think we're making progress. I have got a question from Mr. Trouble in the front. What about the second floor? Tablets? Separate issue. Yeah, so Dawn's question was, what about second floor? The second floor Wi-Fi is actually probably one of the strongest floors. It's a separate issue, and what we found is that there's potentially a problem. I don't want to say too much because we haven't definitively confirmed. We suspect there's a problem with the full count tablets. So we think we got some duds. They're sending us new software. We've been working on getting the hardwares updated in them, and we're hopeful, but there's only so much we can do. So we are in the process of working on that. So that segues me into my next one. We, especially the dining committee, hear a lot about the declining point balance. So that's actually in a later topic for me, but on that note, we are in the process of looking at the declining point balance and making sure that we can get that going. It's quite a process, but we have the declining point balances. So we'll go more into that. It's been a big resident request. So basically it's gonna make it so that you can deduct points each month for food and different services and stuff like that. So we won't go into that right now. It's just been a big request that's come up through the dining committee specifically, and that's something we're looking at. Part of our hesitation with the tablets is that if and when we make that change, we want to make sure we have compatible tablets. So that's a separate issue from the Wi-Fi. Okay. Comcast emails. We figured out a solution to that. So you might see that you're getting different. Anyone that has a Comcast email knows what I'm talking about. They bounce back. So ultimately what I've done is gone through and separated it. So I'm sending out 6 emails instead of 1. So you might see duplicates. That's because you have a Comcast.net email. So point being, anyone that was previously getting it bounced back or getting it at 2 a.m, 3 days later will no longer have that problem. Again, we'll knock on wood. We've been getting a lot of requests for massage therapists. So we had vetted somebody, hired them. Something happened with their other job. And so now we're looking at a different massage therapist. Regardless, that will be coming soon. So we'll be offering at least an additional day for you guys to get a massage other than just Mondays. And then refreshing common areas, another one that we've been talking about for some years now. So the goal is to get a whole big refresh and hopefully have different areas have common themed furniture and paintings and all the things. In the meantime, Reggie and I talked about giving each floor and building $500. So you guys will be allocated this amount of money, and it'll be either on a preloaded Visa gift card that you guys, your floor or building chair will manage that. Send me any receipts when you use it. If you'd prefer a different method, like reimbursement, you can see me directly, but that'll be rolled out hopefully by the end of this month. So each floor and building can choose what they do with that $500. Okay, so this is a bittersweet. We said goodbye to Lisa. And Lisa was wonderful. We know that, right? Lisa did a lot for our resident community. The good news is, and I know we've been doing fitness videos for the last week or 2, we now have Lisa's replacement. And instead of calling him Lisa's replacement, we're going to call him Chris. And Chris got surprised this morning when I told him he had to make an appearance. So come on up, Chris. So this is Chris Wilson. He will be taking over all fitness and resuming any responsibilities that Lisa previously had. He'll be in the same office as Lisa, same extension. You can find him in Touchtown. You want to say anything?
Really pretty much just here to pretty much help you guys stay as active and as fit as possible. So hopefully I can just continue on what Lisa was doing and keep that going forward.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so pretty much just I'm here to continue what Lisa was doing and just continue the good work that she's doing, keeping you guys as active and as fit as possible. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be going back and forth between both buildings and just kind of being in the gym just to answer any questions that you guys have or anything that's going on with that is fitness related. So, yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then this is Todd. You're the area director of Consonas. So it's nice to match faces with, did you want to say something as well?
Yeah, I just want to.
You got it.
Yeah, I just wanted to just update you on the plan with Chris. So, Tuesday was his first day, so we're getting him up and running. So just to let you know, he's going to develop classes. He is not sales certified. I know that's a very popular class. He's getting sales certified. So as soon as that happens, we will get that class up and running. But in the meantime, he is going to start developing some classes. So, give us maybe a week or so and we'll start, slowly getting classes going both in the Cove and over here. Question? So, yes, the personal fitness training. Yes, yep. He is NASM certified for that. So yes, he will be doing the personal fitness training as well. So anybody that is currently on PFT with us, he will start that up. But anybody that would like to get on, definitely come and see us and we can make that happen.
We'll get all the information out. Thanks, Joan.
All right.
So Sheila asked if bio is coming, and we tried to do it yesterday, but I think I overwhelmed Chris a little bit yesterday. So not that I ever have that tendency. So Chris will be getting me a bio hopefully today, and he also wants to update his picture on Touchtown. So We'll get that all out. You can learn about him. But in the meantime, make sure you stop and greet him, welcome him. And we've already gotten some good feedback from what was working before, what wasn't maybe working the best before. We're going to save questions, Jay, just because I've got a lot going here. But please feel free to reach out to me, Ariana, or Chris directly after this. Okay. So that's it for everything that's happened. I want to make a correction. I spoke too optimistically before. I was very confident that Touchtown Unigas now came out with an update that we could do a community bulletin, which has been a popular request among our community. Unfortunately, they do have that rolled out, but it's a whole big digital screen that we would have to buy and install somewhere that you would do community bulletin on this digital screen. So it is an option. It's not what I was hoping for. I'm still hopeful they'll come out with something different. In the meantime, we do have bulletins around the community, and I know that's not what you guys want, but I will certainly keep an eye on that. A couple upcoming things. We're going to do another training session for Touchtown. The utilization has been miraculous. I'm so excited about that. I think it's very helpful to residents and staff that get in there and can find all the information they need. I, again, am going to continue until I'm blue in the face to tell residents, please come to the Resident Advisory Committee the first Tuesday every month, 11 a.m., Water's Edge. This is where we get all of our really good feedback. So we will do another session with all the ambassadors. We'll go through the ins and outs. There's been a lot of implementation and new modules in there, so we can do all that, and really with a focus on work orders and stuff like that. So more to come on that. The who to go to for what and where, we have a directors meeting next Tuesday that will vet that out through all the directors, and we'll get that out to you. It'll very much coincide with the org chart. Tim spoke about the safety speaker series that he and I are going to do. We learned a big lesson in the fire alarm that we had 2 weeks ago now. So if anyone doesn't know what did happen, which we sent all the messaging out, but a vendor, a truck had come in and thought they could clear this parking right here, and they could not. So they hit a sprinkler head. So the fire alarm went off saying pressure, abnormal pressures. Long story short, we determined what it was. But a lot of our key players were doing investigation. Meanwhile, you're all sheltered in place, not knowing what's happening. So we received really great feedback. Thank you. From now on, we will have somebody going to the PA system saying, we know that there's an emergency in the building. We don't know if it's a fire. We don't know what it is yet, but we will keep you posted. Remain calm in place. So that's our promise to you. Another thing coming, we are, and by we I mean Ariana mostly, is looking at refreshing the new resident orientation. So if you are interested in being, and we're coming up with a new term, but for lack of a better term, a mentor, a big brother, a big sister to a new resident, please see Ariana. And if you have any suggestions on what that title should be, please see me or Ariana. And we will go from there. We think it'll be helpful to have somebody that they can directly contact and ask a lot of questions. So we talked a little bit about declining point balance, more to come on that. Here's a good one that I will end on this one. We have had, knock on wood, no COVID cases since July in our community, which is huge for us, especially because other areas are blowing up in the last couple months. So good job. I know how safe we are here. I know how frustrating it can be, but look at the goodness that pays off when we work hard to make sure that we keep each other safe. So we will be having a vaccination clinic. It'll be mid-October. As soon as we believe it's going to be 17th, 18th. Don't quote me on that yet. We're still working out some fine details. As soon as that's confirmed, we'll get it all announced. Yeah. It will include flu. I don't think we're going to do RSV this time. It was a little bit of a disaster last time, but it will include flu. All right. Last question. Yes, thank you. I was going to mention that. Penny asked, do you have any information on the Wi-Fi testing in the coves? As soon as this Lakeside project is wrapped, like I said, we're hoping a week or two. Immediately, we've already approved it, and we'll get started on the survey for both the cove buildings. Thank you all so much.
I think you can appreciate how much peddling there's doing to get us where we are with that. So thank you, Hallie, and all the team who really are putting in a lot of effort. For resident council business, we have a dining committee report from Terry.
Good morning. As Hallie mentioned, we did discuss this point system during the food committee meeting, and we were very happy to know that the food point system will be the first one that's implemented. So that'll be very exciting for all of us. But in the interim, for those individuals who are on the one meal plan, and sometimes we kind of lose track of how many meals we have left in a month, John has made the offer that you can always call him and he will be happy to give you a count so you won't lose track. As far as this month, as Hallie mentioned, the kiosk, Happy Kiosk, has been really increased from previous months. It was 88% last week and it has been as high as 92. So they are meeting, getting close to their goal of always having it at least at 92. They do recommend also to remember that the kiosk is for food and food services. So if you're upset about the elevator, that is not the place where you want to share that information because it skews the numbers. Thank you. Patty also mentioned that since fall is coming, you'll be seeing more of the fall vegetables. And also in the bistro, we will be having things like stews and possibly some more chilies. Chef Eric said that he's also going to be looking at some braised meats that'll be very fork tender, so something else to look forward to. And let's see, there will be an update to the left side menu beginning in October, so that's going to be refreshed because there was a question about that. And let's see, the bistro now has a new supervisor, Donnie. Some of you may have already met him. He previously had worked in the main kitchen as a line cook. So if you do get a chance, stop in and say hi to him. And then Patty said that her and her team will continue to be meeting with the green team because they want to continue working together for having eco-friendly options around our food, composting, and also our food containers. So that's it.
Gift shop report from Sylvia. To share with us.
Hi, everyone. The gift shop from now until into November, there will be a lot of fun merchandise coming. And so it would pay to stop and take a look because a lot of our things I don't buy more than one or two of. And if it's gone, it's gone. Because of not wanting people to see themselves coming and going, I try to not get the same thing. Also, we're a little behind last year, and that's partly because the dining room was closed for a while, a month and a half ago. And also, we've had vacations and illnesses, so we haven't always been able to be open. And I'm not sure, I know that Marion can't be there today because she's in the hospital, and hopefully I'll be picking her up today, but I'm not sure. So anyhow, be patient with us if we're not open, but you can always give me a call, and if I'm around, if you have a desperate need, I can always run down and sell it to you, whatever it is. Okay? Any questions? Yeah, JJ, or Jay.
You keep on having new things, and also you have subdivisions.
Yeah, start again.
Put it this way, I needed a battery, and you had a package of 2 or a package of 4. So little things like that. Just come in and see all the things she has to offer, both in goodies as clothing and and objects. There's a new spray to use for.
Yes. To sterilize your hands. It's a little compact thing that I just bought. It's refillable. I didn't buy the refills yet because I wanted to see how people wanted them, but it's a very compact little thing that you can have in your purse.
Well,
and there's
it's
I
a
think
fun
5
place to visit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, you wanted to give us an update from the movie committee?
Morning, everyone. So, the movie committee met yesterday. We are busy as usual, and here's the slate for October. On Saturday nights, we're going to do a series on quirky and endearing movies. The first, and they are Little Miss Sunshine, The Princess Bride, Groundhog Day, and The King of Hearts. Also, in the Cove, in the Bridge, they show a movie once a month. On the 16th, they're showing a movie called The Great Debaters. This has nothing to do with the so-called debate we had a couple of days ago. This is real debate like you had in high school. Okay. On Tuesday nights, we're doing a series called The Name's Bond, James Bond. Okay, we start with Dr. No, which was the first one. From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Casino Royale, and Skyfall. So that's the lineup for October. We're also doing an experiment starting on the 1st of October. We're going to have a movie suggestion box. It's going to be in the mailroom on the second floor. And anyone who wants to request that the movie committee show a movie, put that suggestion in the box. We're going to run that for about 3 months to find out if we have a few, or many requests, and then we'll figure out how to deal with them. So that's it. Any questions for the movie committee or me? Okay.
Thank you.
I don't see any.
We're not going to turn to the floor chair reports. I want to just add one thing of general interest is that we've decided to renew the name tag Wednesday tradition, which apparently was present before I arrived. And I find quite often at dinner, we need to know who we are. And so we're going to be asking everybody to wear their name tag. Some of the community-minded people here in Lakeside have already stepped up and created name tags for each floor. So if you want to do that and have a little unique experience for your floor or building, that's fine. But please wear your name tag on Wednesdays so people know who you are and you knew who they are. So thank you. Floor reports. Fourth floor. I have a fourth floor report.
Thank you. The new people that have moved in within the last 2 months are the Dunns and Judy and Paul Reiki and David Wachter.
Thank you.
Other than that, it's wherever.
Okay, fifth floor, Laurel.
No new residents to report. That's about it. I mean, we had the root beer party like everybody else did, and we've been quiet this past month. So,
Fifth floor, we have a report. Jackie here. Six. I'm sorry, 6. looks like all is well. Seventh floor, Isa.
Yeah, hi. Well, we're recovering from our Olympic exertions. So, and we probably won't start training for the Winter Olympics till next year. But other than that, we're doing fine. We're very happy with the two new couples. We have the Brooks and the Bowmans, and we have a new person moving in. Well, she's not new to me. I've known her 50 years on October 1st, Miriam Gray. And that's about it.
Eighth floor.
Nothing new to report.
Ninth floor, Jean.
Krispy Kreme donuts on the Labor Day weekend. That's about it. But everyone seems happy. I've received no threats.
Krispy Kreme donuts. Everyone happy. No threats.
Sheila, 10th floor, Sheila.
10th floor, just is doing fine. We're, the Carnegies, Jan and Jim, pardon me, and Nancy are in, and you probably know they're very well connected to the community, so they're still busy, I think, maybe getting their other house ready to sell. But other than that, we have a few vacancies. We hope to fill the Dunn's unit and the Catons.
Great, thank you. Penny from Cove East. Nada. And Alice from Cove West.
Hi, we have no changes in our residence, but one fun thing we did was invite the Cove East people over, and we had an ice cream social together.
Yes. And we actually talked with each other.
Do we have a cat report?
I'm sorry?
Does anyone have a cat report?
Cat report. I'm not going to touch that one. Good. We have a special event as part of our meeting today. Frank Greif, who you all know well, has participated in the formation of a foundation, which has been a long-term aspiration here and has many potential benefits. And Frank will give us the background and some aspirations about where we go from here. So, Frank?
Thank you. And I realize we've run over, so it's going to be relatively quick. As this has been, developed, there have just been all kinds of questions, and there will be more. And I'm going to ask that I'll go through this report, giving you where we are, what's gone on. And then when you have questions, let's go back to the routine that we've really developed. Go back to your floors, talk about this, collect questions you have from the floors about the foundation, and then bring them to the Residents' Council. That way we can kind of bring all the questions together, because there are going to be similar questions from all the different floors. We don't have this kind of popcorn thing. So with that, let me see if I can step through this. Okay, the Hearthstone Foundation, as Don May said, has been formed. This is a big deal. A little bit of history. It started about, a long time ago, people talking and never getting anything done, right? Then we finally got approval from the state. Then we got approval from the federal government. And the Hearthstone Foundation is now a 501c3. So that means any donation becomes tax deductible. Okay? The board has been established, and we have 6 members. Albert Lures. I have this done backwards. Sorry, let me just kind of adjust myself. Albert Lures, who is now the president of the Hearthstone Foundation Board. Albert is a retired attorney, but he is also a member of the Hearthstone trustees. So that's the link, all right? We have a couple other really great links. You see up there, Nancy Ward. Nancy is a former member of the Board of Trustees. Nancy also is the person who runs Greg Cycle, has for years, all right? Another former board member that many of you know is Judy Cheney, former member of the Board of Trustees. We also have Gary Hayamoto, who is a retired dentist, has been involved in lots of community efforts around the greater area, tied to Lutheran churches and that sort of thing. Lori Santamaria, who was one of the very first persons brought onto the board so that we could go through the formal process of establishing it. And she's been involved in fundraising at very different levels. And then I don't know who that last guy is on the end, but you may recognize him from around. So both Albert was going to be here, but he's out of town. But Nancy and Judy are here in the back of the room. If you would stand up and wave. Thank you for coming. So we're on our way, all right? What's the purpose? The purpose is to provide a method for raising and managing funds for the Hearthstone, to build and maintain a strong residence assistance fund. That's the real driver. It's what everybody has talked about, okay? The Residence Assistance Fund. But it also will allow us to manage capital projects, fundraising for capital projects, and then finally offer an avenue for people who would like to say, whether it's in their wills or estate or whatever, I'd just like to give money to the Hearthstone, and the Hearthstone can decide what to use it for. So there's those kind of three different ways of doing that. So the Residence Assistance Fund, it is designed to honor the promise that we will always have a home here. Now look at the next number. This is a number that's kind of spread over the last several years. It has cost the Hearthstone between $200,000 and $400,000 a year to support those folks who have run out of money through no fault of their own, and to meet that promise. How it fluctuates is some years there may be 4 or 5 different people who need that help, and then 2 years later there are only 2. So, but it gives you that kind of range. That's really significant, and it's one of the reasons we chose this place. The problem that we have right now is that money comes out of the operating fund of the Hearthstone. And you heard Don May talking earlier about the impact of various things. Well, those are pretty big numbers, right? So what we want to do is, our goal in the foundation is build a big enough base to offset those numbers. This is really important because I get asked about it all the time. How do we know that if I give money to the Hearthstone Residence Fund, it won't go somewhere else? This is a restricted fund. So if someone gives money to the Hearthstone Foundation and it says this is for residence assistance, that money cannot be used for anything else. It cannot be siphoned off to cover shortages anywhere else, that sort of thing. It is used only for residence assistance. And Albert, as I said, is an attorney, and in our discussions, he said, you know, if anybody were ever trying to move that out of there, you know, there'd be attorneys all over you, the state, everybody else. So it is a protected location, that money is secure for residence assistance. And then, capital campaigns, occasional fundraising for greater needs. Well, we heard Tim talking earlier about the elevators. Well, the estimate to repair all 3 of them is around $1 million. And by repair, it's not like building new cabs. It's just replacing all the mechanics and all of the electronics, about $1 million. So that's going to be our first capital campaign. Raise money to fix the elevators as quickly as possible. And in answer to your question earlier, Jay, money from the residents is not going to be used to do that. This is a separate project, okay? if you would like to donate to this capital campaign to fix the elevators, that would be wonderful. But it's not going to be, an assessment in your dues or that sort of thing. Doesn't happen. And then, of course, I mentioned the Greater Good. That's where people can give money to the Hearthstone and say, you decide what it is you want to do, whether you want to do flowers, recarpet, whatever you want to do. All right? Then, the board relationships, and this is key. The Hearthstone Board of Trustees oversees the operation of the Hearthstone, right? That's what the trustees do. The foundation board is fully independent of that board. That means it is the only body that can decide where, when, and how money will be distributed from the foundation. And that responds to the concerns of, well, you may collect the money, but the trustees are going to just come in and move it wherever they want. Can't happen. They're totally separate organizations. What can happen is the trustees can come to the foundation and say, we have a need here. And the foundation then, the board decides, okay, that's something we'll fund. Or, okay, we might fund it, but not as much as you're asking, that sort of thing. It's the same thing with the Residents Assistance Fund. The Hearthstone trustees come to the foundation and say, we need X number of dollars for the coming year. Then it's up to the trustees not the trustees, for the foundation board to then transfer that money. So, how will we raise money? Good question. One of the first things as we kind of get our feet on the ground is to hire a part-time expert, development director, to just set us in the right direction. We obviously don't have the funds to hire somebody full-time, but there are a lot of real quality expert people out there. So we're in the search to find somebody now who can just kind of help us. Here's the way to go about that. How do you set it all up? How do you do the ask? All of that. We're going to approach the founding churches. Now, it's interesting. A lot of the churches are struggling. They don't have a lot of money. But we plan on going to the congregation, asking the congregation for help. And who do you know? There might be somebody in one of those congregations who knows somebody who believes heartily in the Hearthstone and would make a contribution. It's also just making everybody aware the Hearthstone has a foundation, and that's a really important thing for us to do. We're going to search for grants for the capital campaign. I'd love to go after Otis Elevator. The Otis Elevator building in Seattle for a long time was in a one-story building. Yeah. We're going to build legacy programs for residents, families, and people who simply love the Hearthstone. We're going to set up a program so that it's part of the end of life thing that we're talking about. So as you develop your will, your whatever, there has to be a way for the foundation to come to people and say, we would really appreciate it if you put the foundation in your will. And so what's the mechanism for us to do that? And what's the mechanism for people who want to do that to make it happen? So we're working on that. And then if you want to give right now, you can simply write a check to the Hearthstone Foundation, and write on it, Residents Assistance Fund. Do you think that'll happen soon? It happened yesterday. And not from a board member. Yeah. Okay. Right away. So, I would also say, let me tell you about the amount of money raised thus far. We have several $1,000s from initial contributions, but one of the big Kickstarters was the effort by Keith Arntz and Therese Atkinson in selling all of Clifford's artwork. Several $1,000s went directly to the foundation, or now going directly to the foundation, specifically for residents' assistance. So thank you to the two of you for making that happen. And then, Judy, would you come up for just a second? because, as we're getting this rolling, Judy has been pinging all of the Board of Trustees and all of the foundation board members. And what's happened? Well, here, yeah. No, here, yeah, into that. And what do you think's happened?
You asking me that question?
No, I'm asking them.
First of all, it's great to be back. It's been about 3 years, I guess, since I've been totally involved. But Hallie, I've known Hallie before she was born, and people kept pushing it, and now I'm in the right frame of mind to be back. I'm loving it. I'm meeting new people. I'm seeing old faces that I know. Not that type of old, but anyhow, I'm really excited. And the foundation is up and running. It's been a joy to be here, meeting some new residents. And anyhow, I can tell you right now, of the two boards, Board of Trustees, Foundation Board, we have 85% of those members that have already pledged to the foundation. So we're trying to set the tone, and it warms my heart, and I hope it warms your heart. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, come on, Nancy, come on up and just say hello, would you? It's important. You're a really important part of this. Long time involved in this community. Come up and say hello. People need to know who you are. Yeah.
Well, it is also a pleasure to be back here again. I was on the board here for about 10 years up until 2020, and it's just wonderful to, as I always said, I've seen the Hearthstone from the outside for many, many years, having worked at Greg Cycles for 38 years. But it was really a pleasure when I got to see the Hearthstone from the inside, where the heart of it is. So it's really fabulous to be back, and we're super excited to have the foundation here to continue supporting the residents who love and call this their home.
Great, thank you. Okay, now, whoops, go back. Question is, what have I done? There you go. How will we tell our story? Well, I've told you some of the things we're going to do, but we also will have a really robust website. This is really exciting, thanks to Jill. Google has made a contribution of $10,000 a month. And that money is in kind. What happens is when you search, as a matter of fact, I did it this morning. I typed in the Hearthstone at Green Lake, and one of the first things that came up was Aegis Living. So, well, because what happens is there's a system where the algorithms have all these keywords in them, they develop all that drive your name, whatever, to the very top of the list. Well, Google is going to do that for us to make sure that whenever anybody goes to the Hearthstone or Hearthstone Foundation, it's the first that comes up. And it's coming through the ad agency that Jill works with, well, everybody works with, to make this place really work. So round of applause, 10 grand. Then, of course, we're going to build a collection of publications and pamphlets and that sort of thing. We're going to hold some events here and elsewhere. And then let's all talk about it. When you're out in the community, spread the word. Hey, we finally have a foundation. You don't have to say finally. We have a foundation. We have a foundation, and it's on a tear. It's on the way. Now, there's one other big question that gets asked all the time. What's the difference between the Hearthstone Foundation and the ELCA? ELCA is Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. Let's give a round of applause to Jim and BJ Killingsworth and Dave Town, because they started that. It was their effort, I don't know whether the board's going to appreciate this, their effort that really finally pushed the Board of Trustees and whatnot off the stump to get going on this. And they have more than $100,000 in that fund, and it's spinning off about $2,000 every quarter that goes directly to the Employee Assistance Fund. All right? Residence Fund. We need to develop some new whatever. All right. So here we go. Let's look at the differences. All right? The big pot of money that is sitting in the ELCA spins out 4% every quarter. All right? Now, the problem is that it's part of a much larger fund, so that the money that is there, the principal, cannot be touched. So, you can't go to the ELCA and say, we'd like to boost the outtake to 6% or whatever. That's just static. And that money has to stay there. What's the difference with our foundation? Well, first of all, it's been designed to give us complete flexibility. This way, that we can increase the amount as needed, so that, as I was saying earlier, we go through a year or two where let's assume we have a big pot of money in it now. There's a year where the Residence Assistance Fund doesn't have a big need, so maybe you only draw down 2%. A couple of years later, oh wow, suddenly there's a big need. We could draw down 8%, or whatever amount is needed. And that flexibility is absolutely critical, because what it saves is it prevents the Hearthstone operating fund by being drained by something this whole system is designed to protect. And finally, wait a minute, go back, Frank. Well, I've never done this before. There you go. That's it. No, that's not it. This is it. Now I want to get sure. We'll get the last one. Okay. So the other part is that the funds are managed by the Hearthstone trustees. This is the really key part, I think. Not trustees, thank you. Foundation board. But the real key part here is that this is local. This is us. It's not just us, this community. It's the greater Green Lake community. It's the Lutheran churches. This is, sounds like a television show. This is us. And that's what's going to make this long-lasting and a place from the heart. So it's critical. So how does this come together? All right? Why is it going backwards? No, it's not. There we go. No. Don't worry, I'll get there. We'll be there by noon. This is the graphic I wanted to get to. So, no, it's not showing. There it is. So here's what happens. The way it's going to be set up, talking to Jim and Dave, we've had several meetings about how does this work. So we now have this pot at the bottom that is the Residence Assistance Fund. The money from the ELCA will continue to flow, and it will come into our overall Residence Assistance Fund. And then the money that the Hearthstone Foundation raises will also go into the pot. So the two are coming together to build a sustainable future for our foundation. So there you have it. We're launched. We're underway. I can't give you the exact amount of money that's in it right now because we're just beginning. But as Judy said, there have been significant pledges. We're well into the thousands of dollars. Spread the word. Thank you for your listening, and thank you for your patience. All right? Remember, if you have questions, take them to your floor chairs. They will bring them to us. And thanks for staying an extra half hour.
All righty. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll adjourn the meeting if we have a motion to adjourn. Second? We stand adjourned.